I can almost hear the objections forming in your minds. But Alan, you might say, that's preposterous. I wanted to be a millionaire by 30, and here I am, still struggling to pay my bills. Or perhaps I wanted a perfect relationship, and all I've had is a string of disappointments. And to that I say, it's gotten exactly what you wanted. But before you dismiss this idea entirely, let's dive deeper into what it really means to want something, and what it means to get it. You see, we humans are fascinating creatures. We live in a world of symbols and abstractions. We create elaborate mental constructs about who we are, what we want, and how the world should be. And then we suffer when reality doesn't match these constructs. Here's the kicker. These mental constructs, these ideas about what we want, are not our true desires. They're more like a costume we put on, a role we play in the grand drama of life. And beneath this costume, beneath this role, lies our true nature, our true desire. Now, you might be thinking, Alan, you've lost to me. Are you saying I don't really want success, love, happiness? And to that I say, of course you want these things. But what do you really mean by success, love, happiness? These are abstract concepts, and we all fill them with different content. Let's take success, for instance. You might think you want to be a millionaire, but is it really the $1 million you want? Or is it the feeling you believe having $1 million will give you? The sense of security, of freedom, of worth? And here's where it gets interesting. If it's the feeling you're after, who's to say you haven't already achieved it in ways you haven't recognized? Perhaps you've experienced moments of profound security in the embrace of a loved one. Maybe you've tasted real freedom in a moment of creative expression. You might have felt deep worth in the gratitude of someone you've helped. You see, we often confuse the symbol with the reality, the menu with the meal. We think we want the symbol, the $1 million, when what we really want is the experience we believe it will bring. But let's go even deeper. What if I told you that beneath all our specific wants and desires, what we really want, what we've always wanted, is simply to be, to exist, to experience, to play this magnificent game of life? Think about it. Why do you want anything at all? Isn't it ultimately because you believe it will enhance your experience of being alive? Even when we say we want to help others, isn't it because doing so makes us feel more alive, more connected, more real? You already are. You already exist. You're already having the experience of being alive. In the most fundamental sense, you've already got what you want. Now I can hear some of you thinking, but Alan, that's all well and good, but it doesn't pay my bills or cure my loneliness. And you're right, it doesn't, at least not directly. But understanding this can radically shift your relationship to your wants and to your life. When you recognize that beneath all your specific wants is this fundamental desire to be, to experience life, you can start to appreciate the experiences you're already having. You can start to see how, in a very real sense, you're always getting what you want. The experience of being alive in all its complex, messy, beautiful glory. This doesn't mean you stop setting goals or working towards what you think of as improvement. But it does mean you can do so from a place of fullness rather than lack. You're no longer a hungry ghost forever seeking something outside yourself to fill an inner void. You're already complete, already whole, and from that wholeness, you can play the game of life with more joy, more creativity, more freedom. Let's explore this idea further. Think about a time when you achieved something you thought you wanted, maybe a promotion, a relationship, a possession. How long did the satisfaction last? If you're like most people, you probably felt a brief surge of happiness, and then what? The feeling faded, and soon you were wanting something else, weren't you? This is what the Buddhists call the hungry ghost syndrome. We like ghosts with huge bellies and tiny mouths, forever hungry, but never able to satisfy our hunger. We think if only I had this job, this partner, this house, then I'd be happy. But when we get it, we find the happiness is fleeting, and soon we're on to the next thing. But what if the point isn't to satisfy these endless wants? What if the point is to see through them? to recognize them as the mental constructs they are, and to touch the deeper reality beneath. You see, every want, every desire is really a teacher. It's showing us something about ourselves, about our beliefs, about our relationship to life. When we learn to listen to our wants, not just chase after them blindly, they can lead us to profound self-understanding. For instance, if you find yourself constantly wanting more money, what does that really tell you? Perhaps it points to a deep-seated fear of insecurity, or maybe it's about a belief that your worth is tied to your wealth. By examining the want, you can uncover these hidden beliefs and fears. And once they're in the light of consciousness, you have the power to change them. This is where the magic happens. When you start to understand the deeper currents beneath your wants, you can begin to address them directly. If it's security you're really after, you might find it more effectively by building strong relationships and developing your inner resources than by chasing after money. If it's a sense of worth you're seeking, you might find it by contributing to your community or developing a skill you're passionate about. There's a beautiful paradox. When you address these deeper needs directly, you often find that the external things you thought you wanted come to you more easily, but by then you may not want them in the same way. You're no longer attached to them, no longer see them as the key to your happiness or worth. Now, let's address another objection that might be bubbling up in your minds. But Alan, you might say, what about real suffering? What about people in poverty or those facing serious illness? Are you saying they want that? And this, my friends, is where we need to expand our perspective even further. We need to look beyond the individual ego, beyond our limited concept of self. You see, we habitually think of ourselves as separate entities, isolated consciousnesses, piloting these body vehicles through life. But what if that's not the whole truth? What if we're more like waves in the ocean of consciousness, temporary forms taken by the whole? From this larger perspective, every experience, joy and sorrow, pleasure and pain, success and failure, is part of the total dance of existence. And in a very real sense, the totality of existence is what we all ultimately want. We want to be, to experience, to play out every possible variation of the cosmic drama. This doesn't mean we should be callous towards suffering or stop working to alleviate it. On the contrary, compassion and the drive to reduce suffering are also part of this cosmic play. But it does mean we can start to see even the difficult experiences as part of the total wanting of existence to express itself in every possible way. When we really understand this, something profound shifts. We stop being at war with reality. We stop thinking that life has gone wrong. When it doesn't match our individual ego's preferences, we can embrace all of life. The pain as well as the pleasure, the sorrow as well as the joy, as part of the magnificent cosmic dance. And from this embrace, this acceptance comes a deep peace, not the fragile peace that depends on everything going our way, but the unshakable peace that comes from being aligned with the totality of existence. Now, I can almost hear some of you thinking, but Alan, isn't this just a fancy way of saying, whatever happens, happens? Isn't this just passive acceptance of everything, even injustice? Not at all. This understanding doesn't lead to passivity, but to a different kind of action. When you realize that you're not separate from the totality of existence, that in a very real sense you are the totality of existence, you naturally want to improve the whole. You act, but your action comes from a place of wholeness, not lack. Peace. When your left hand is injured, your right hand naturally moves to help it. It doesn't stop to think, what's in it for me? It acts spontaneously for the good of the whole in the same way. When we realize our true nature as the totality of existence, we act spontaneously to address suffering and injustice, not because we should, but because it's the natural expression of our true nature. This brings us to another important point. When we say you always get what you want, we're not talking about the you that you normally think you are, the separate ego with its likes and dislikes. We're talking about the deeper you, the real you, which is inseparable from the totality of existence. This deeper you is always getting what it wants, because what it wants is simply be, to experience, to express itself in every possible way. And that's exactly what's happening all the time, everywhere. Now, you might be wondering if this is true. Why don't I feel it? Why do I still feel unfulfilled, still feel like I'm not getting what I want? And this, my friends, is where the real work begins. The work of seeing through the illusion of the separate self. The work of recognizing your true nature as the totality of existence. This isn't something that happens overnight. It's not a one-time realization, but a continual unfolding. It's a process of repeatedly catching yourself in the act of identifying with the limited ego and gently reminding yourself of the larger truth. One practical way to start this process is to pay attention to your wants as they arise. When you notice yourself wanting something, pause, take a breath. Ask yourself, what's beneath this want? Is it security, love? Validation, freedom? As you probe deeper, you might find that beneath all these specific wants is a more fundamental want. The want to be happy, to be at peace, to be fulfilled. And as you sit with this, you might start to notice that this deeper want is already satisfied. In your deepest nature, you are already complete, already whole. This doesn't mean the surface wants disappear. You might still want a new car or a promotion or a relationship, but these wants no longer have the same grip on you. You can enjoy pursuing them as part of the game of life, but you're no longer enslaved by them. You no longer believe that satisfying these wants is the key to your happiness or fulfillment. Another powerful practice is to regularly remind yourself of the larger perspective. When you're caught up in the drama of daily life, feeling frustrated because you're not getting what you want, pause, zoom out. Remember that you are not just this individual ego, but the totality of existence expressing itself in this particular form. From this larger perspective, can you see how you're always getting what you want? Can you see how every experience, pleasant or unpleasant, is part of the cosmic dance, part of the totality expressing itself? This shift in perspective can be profoundly liberating. It doesn't mean you no longer care about your individual life or stop trying to improve your circumstances. But it does mean you hold these things more lightly. You can play the game of life with more joy, more freedom, less attachment to specific outcomes. Now let's address another aspect of this idea that you always get what you want. It's not just about recognizing your true nature as the totality of existence. It's also about understanding the power of your mind in shaping your experience of reality. You see, our minds are incredibly powerful. They're constantly filtering and interpreting the raw data of experience, creating our subjective reality. And a big part of this filtering and interpreting is based on what we believe we want and don't want. If you believe you want struggle and hardship, guess what? Your mind will filter your experiences to find struggle and hardship. If you believe you want ease and flow, your mind will find evidence of ease and flow. This doesn't mean you can just think your way to $1 million or perfect health. The external world has its own momentum, but it does mean that your experience of the external world, and to a significant extent the opportunities you see and take advantage of, are shaped by your beliefs about what you want. So in this sense, too, you're always getting what you want. Or more accurately, what you believe you want. Your beliefs about what you want act like a self-fulfilling prophecy, shaping your perception and your actions in ways that tend to bring about the very experiences you expect. This is why it's so crucial to become aware of your beliefs about what you want. Many of these beliefs are unconscious, absorbed from our families, our culture, our past experiences. When we bring them into consciousness, we can start to question them, to change them if they're not serving us. For instance, you might have an unconscious belief that you want to struggle, that life is supposed to be hard. This belief might have been instilled in you by well-meaning parents who wanted to prepare you for the real world. But is it true? Is it serving you, or is it creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of struggle and hardship? By becoming aware of this belief, You can start to change it, or you can choose to believe that life can be easy, that good things can come to you effortlessly. And as you start to hold this new belief, you might be amazed at how your experience of life starts to shift. Again, this doesn't mean you'll never face challenges or that everything will magically go your way. But it does mean that you'll start to experience life differently. You'll start to notice more ease, more flow, more synchronicity. You'll start to see opportunities where before you only saw obstacles. This brings us to another important point. When we say you always get what you want, we're not just talking about the big, obvious wants, the career goals, the relationship status, the material possessions. We're also talking about the more subtle, moment-to-moment wants. In every moment, whether you're aware of it or not, you're wanting something. It might be as simple as wanting to shift position in your chair, or wanting the person next to you to stop tapping their foot. It might be wanting this moment to be different than it is. And here's the moment. You're also getting what you want. If you want to shift position in your chair, you do. If you want the person to stop tapping their foot, you either ask them to stop or you choose to tolerate it. If you want the moment to be different, you either take action to change it or you create inner resistance to what is. This moment-to-moment wanting and getting is the very fabric of our experience. And becoming aware of it can be incredibly liberating, because when you're aware of your wants as they arise, you have choice. You can choose to act on them or not. You can choose to hold them lightly rather than being driven by this awareness of your moment-to-moment. Wants can also help you uncover your deeper, truer wants. Often, what we think we want in the moment is just a habitual reaction, a conditioned response, but beneath that might be a deeper one, a want for peace, for connection, for self-expression. As you become more aware of your wants, you might start to notice patterns. Maybe you often want to withdraw when things get emotionally intense. Maybe you want to control situations to feel safe. These patterns can reveal a lot about your deeper beliefs and fears. And as you bring awareness to these patterns, you create the possibility of change. You create the possibility of aligning your moment-to-moment wants with your deeper, truer wants. This is where real transformation happens. Not in some dramatic overnight change, but in this moment-to-moment awareness and choice. As you consistently choose to align with your deeper wants, your life naturally begins to shift. Now, let's circle back to the idea that you are the totality of existence, expressing itself in this particular form. From this perspective, every want that arises in you is the universe wanting to experience itself in that particular. Your want for success, that's the universe wanting to experience success through you. Your want for love, that's the universe wanting to experience love through you. Even your want for a sandwich is the universe wanting to experience eating a sandwich through you. When you really get this, you can transform your relationship to your wants. Instead of seeing them as lacks to be filled or problems to be solved, you can see them as the universe's playful exploration of itself. You can enjoy them, engage with them, without being enslaved by them. This doesn't mean you become passive or stop pursuing your goals. On the contrary, you might find yourself more active, more engaged with life than ever before. But your action comes from a different place. It comes from fullness rather than lack, from joy rather than need. You see, when you realize that you are the totality of existence, you also realize that you are complete, whole, lacking nothing. From this place of wholeness, you can enjoy the game of wants and their fulfillment without being attached to specific outcomes. It's like the difference between a beggar playing poker and a millionaire playing poker. The beggar is desperate to win, attached to each hand, stressed by each loss. The millionaire, on the other hand, can enjoy the game for its own sake. He can play full out. But at the end of the day, whether he wins or loses, doesn't fundamentally change who he is or how he feels about himself. In the same way, when you realize your true nature, you can play the game of life full out. You can have goals, pursue dreams, work to make the world a better place, but you do it all from a place of fullness, of joy, of love for the game itself. When you approach life this way, you often find that the things you wanted come to you more easily, because you are no longer pushing them away with your neediness, your desperation, your belief that you will only be okay when you get them. This is the true meaning of you always get what you want. It's not that your individual ego always gets its way, it's that you, as the totality of existence, are always experiencing exactly what you want to experience. Every moment, every sensation, every thought and feeling. It's all the universe wanting and getting to be exactly as it is. When you really get this, really feel it in your bones, an immense freedom dawns. You realize that you can't lose. Every experience, pleasant or unpleasant, is a win because it's another way for the universe to know itself through you. This doesn't mean you become some kind of unfeeling robot, accepting everything passively. Remember, the drive to improve things, to alleviate suffering, to create beauty. That's also part of the universe expressing itself through you. You can engage fully with life. Work towards goals, strive to make the world better. But you do it all from a place of fundamental okayness, a deep trust in the unfolding of existence. Now, some of you might be thinking, but Alan, this all sounds well and good, but how do I actually live this way? How do I maintain this perspective in the midst of my daily life, with all its challenges and frustrations? And that, my friends, is the real work. It's not about achieving some permanent state of enlightenment where you never again forget your true nature. It's about repeatedly remembering again and again, moment by moment. It's about catching yourself when you fall into the illusion of separation. When you start believing that you're just this limited individual who's not getting what they want. And in those moments, gently reminding yourself of the larger truth. One practical way to do this is to regularly ask yourself, what do I want right now? And then what do I really want? And then what does the totality of existence want through me in this moment? As you practice this, you might find that your wants start to shift. The surface wants don't necessarily disappear, but they are held more lightly. And you start to align more and more with the deeper want of existence to express itself through you in this unique way. Another powerful practice is to regularly zoom out and remember the bigger picture. When you're caught up in the drama of daily life, feeling frustrated or anxious, take a moment to remember, I am the totality of existence expressing itself in this form. This experience, whatever it is exactly what I want to experience right now. This doesn't mean denying or suppressing your human emotions. If you're feeling sad or angry or scared, that's okay. That's part of the human experience. But by holding even these difficult emotions in the larger context of your true nature, you can experience them without being completely identified with them. It's like watching a movie. You can be fully engrossed in the story, feeling all the emotions, but at some level you know it's just a movie. You're the screen on which the movie is playing, not the character in the movie. In the same way, you can fully engage with your human life, feeling all feelings, pursuing goals, dealing with challenges. But at a deeper level, you know that you're the awareness in which all this is happening, not just the character in the story. As you practice this perspective, you might find that your relationship to your wants starts to change. Instead of being driven by them, you start to see them as interesting phenomena arising in your awareness. You can engage with them playfully, curiously, without being attached to their fulfillment. And paradoxically, as your attachment to your wants lessens, you might find that many of them are fulfilled more easily, because you're no longer pushing them away with your neediness, your desperation, your belief that you need them to be okay. This is the true freedom. Not the freedom to always get what your ego wants, but the freedom to want what you get. The freedom to embrace each moment, each experience, as the perfect expression of existence that it is. So, my dear friends, as you go forth from here, remember, you always get what you want, not because the universe is a cosmic vending machine catering to your every whim, but because what you truly want, at the deepest level, is to exist, to experience life in all its rich, complex, sometimes challenging. Always, you are the totality of existence expressing itself in this unique form. Every want that arises in you is the universe wanting to experience itself in that particular way. Every experience you have is exactly what you, as the totality of existence, want to experience in this moment. When you really get this, really feel it in your bones, you're free. Free to play the game of life full out, to pursue goals and dreams, to work towards making the world better. But you do it all from a place of fundamental okayness, a deep trust in the unfolding of existence. So embrace your wants, engage with them, let them teach you about yourself. Let them guide you towards your deepest truth. But hold them lightly, playfully, knowing that in the grandest sense you're already complete, already whole, already getting exactly what you want in every moment. And in that knowing, in that freedom, you can truly live. Not as a needy beggar always seeking something outside yourself, but as the vast, playful, ever-creative universe that you are. Thank you, my friends, for joining me on this exploration. May you always remember your true nature, and may you always know that you're getting exactly what you want right here, right now, in this eternal present moment.